Hey guys, this is Mani. Today I'm going to build a workbench. I hope you enjoy this video. Please don't forget to subscribe. All the framing of this table is made out of 2x4. This workbench is going to be 38 inches by 6 feet. The height of the table is 34 inches. It's a little bit bigger than standard height, but that works fine for me. I removed the rounded edge of the 2x4 on my table saw. The reason why I took the rounded edge off is because I wanted the legs to sit flat when I glued them together. I clamped one side of legs on my sawhorse and made a pocket holes. I glued the legs side by side so it can look like 4x4. I clamped it down and put pocket hole screws. I did that on all 4 legs. After I jointed all the legs, I start cutting the side pieces. After I finish cutting all the side pieces, I start making pocket holes. I put the 4x8 plywood on top of the sawhorse and start connecting all the framing pieces. I use pocket holes to connect all the sides. Make sure to use the clamps because pocket hole screws like to move the wood a lot. This is going to be the bottom of the table. Since I have a lot of leftover plywood from my last project, I used 3 scraps plywood for the bottom. To connect the plywood, I just used glue and brad nail. The top part was slightly bigger than the frame, so I used the hand router to make it flush. After that, I start connecting all 4 legs. I connected all the legs using 2 screws on each side. After I connected all the legs, I start connecting the top frame. I use the clamps on each legs to help me align the top frame. I flip the table upside down and put a corner support on each side. I don't think this was necessary because the table was already really strong, but I just like to go over a mile. Since the table is upside down, I took advantage and started putting the 4-inch casters on. Before I install the casters, I put 4x4 plywood for extra support. Finally, it's time for the top. I used a straight edge and cut the plywood to the right size. I wanted the top to be 1.5 inch thick, but didn't have a budget to clamp 2 sheets of plywood, so this is what I did. I glued the scrap plywood all around it. I used the brad nails to connect it all together. I added the support piece on each side for the table saw. I also added a support piece on the top. After all that process was complete, I connected the top part to the table using the pocket hole screws. I cut the top of the table to accommodate for the table saw. So my table saw has a 0 clearance. I cut the side using the Japanese handsaw and the jigsaw. I sanded all around the table using the 80 grit sandpaper on the belt sander. After that, I used 120 grades and 180 grades sandpaper on my orbital sander. I grabbed 4 pieces of 2x4s and installed the 3-inch bolts so I can micro adjust the table saw without anybody's help. I put all the adjustment pieces under the middle shelf where the table saw is going to be placed on. After that, I put the table saw on top and micro adjust all the side. The table saw is placed slightly higher so the workpiece doesn't hit the tabletop. I sanded the tabletop using 120 grades, 180 grades, and 220 grades sandpaper. I should have bought a higher quality plywood because it took forever to get the smooth surface. On the bottom shelf, I cover up all the nails holes and the plywood cracks with the wood filler. I used a card scraper to scrape off all the dry part. On the bottom shelf, I just used 120 grades and 180 grades sandpaper. I apply mid-wax pre-wood conditioner before staining. If you don't use the pre-conditioner, you're gonna get a blotchiness when you stain your project. On this project, I'm using a mid-wax cherry gel stain. I simply applied it with the clean rag. As soon as I finished applying the gel stain, I wiped it off with the clean rag. After 24 hours, I applied 3 coats of clear finish. After each coat, I sand it down with 220 grade sandpaper. Make sure to wipe off all the dust after you sand it down. This project took only one 4x8 plywood and 11 2x4. That's it guys, this table is done. If you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my other DIY video from the screen. Thanks, bye.